Let's go to our topic of the week, where we will be discussing about protecting local companies against imports. The trade globalization has resulted in massive inflows of foreign goods to emerging markets, including Indonesia. However, the influx of foreign goods has severely hurt Indonesian companies, especially those in the textile sector.
The entry of foreign goods in the country cannot be avoided, as Indonesia has signed free trade agreements with its trading partners in order to be able to tap into market potentials in other countries. As part of the agreements, Indonesia should also open its market to other countries. The arrival of foreign goods is a boon to local consumers who benefit from the wider choices now available. For local companies, however, the influx of imported goods has threatened their business because foreign goods are often cheaper than the local ones. Indonesia has implemented free trade agreements for more than a decade, not only with members of ASEAN, but also with major trade partners such as Japan, South Korea, China, Europe, and the United States. With such free trade agreements, Indonesia is able to export its commodities and manufactured goods with low tariffs. However, the decline in the global economy, the competition in the export market is getting tighter due to the decline in orders. It has also resulted in the influx of imported goods, which have severely hurt local companies. The condition is getting worse because many foreign goods have also entered Indonesia illegally. Indonesia's textile industry is among the industrial sector hardest hit by the influx of foreign goods. The entry of foreign goods, particularly from China, has severely hurt local textile producers because they are not only cheaper, but also have better in quality. The condition has become worse because the local textile industry, both in the upstream and downstream sector, also have to compete with used clothes, mostly from China, which are brought into Indonesia illegally. In fact, the Indonesian government has banned imports of used clothes. However, such a practice continues even though the government has burned tons of used clothes confiscated from the market. The influx of foreign goods has become a death sentence to almost all lines of textile business. The actual reality of the severe impact of the influx of imported textile and garment products can be seen in the Tanah Abang market in central Jakarta, known as the largest textile market in Southeast Asia. As widely reported by the media recently, the formerly crowded market has become very quiet as buyers turn to online market platforms and social media such as TikTok Shop, which sell cheaper foreign goods. Cloth traders in the Tanah Abang market said that they also had tried to sell their clothes through a number of online platforms such as Shopee, Tokopedia, Lazada, Bukalapak, and Blibli, but they were unable to compete with foreign goods, especially those sold in TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop, in fact, has also become a popular online platform for locally made products, thanks to its growing popularity to Indonesian buyers. However, they cannot compete with cheaper foreign goods, such as those imported from China. Local producers have accused that foreign goods are cheaper because they are illegally imported. The government is not happy with its operation because TikTok used its social media to sell goods. With the use of a social media, TikTok can easily reach its fan base with its more advanced algorithm technology. That is one of the reasons why the Trade Ministry is prohibiting social media companies from facilitating e-commerce transactions on their platforms. It means TikTok will only be able to advertise products but not conduct direct transactions. It is unlikely that the restriction will be effective enough in helping local companies to compete with foreign goods if the core problems are not resolved. For example, there should be a solution to make locally made products more competitive in facing foreign goods, as well as to make all-out efforts to fight against illegal imports.
The arrival of foreign goods is a boon to local consumers who benefit from the wider choices now available. For local companies, however, the influx of imported goods has threatened their business because foreign goods are often cheaper and also better in quality. Here, our guest this afternoon on Economic Outlook is Professor Ariawan Gunadi, expert in international trade from Tarumanagara University or UNTAR. Professor Ariawan will share his insights on the most effective way the government could do to protect local companies from the influx of imported products. Welcome, Professor Ariawan, to Economic Outlook.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Being here. Yes, Professor Ariawan, Indonesia has previously signed free trade agreements with many countries in order to be able to tap into market potential overseas. That's the goal. However, the reality is quite different at the moment. Our market has been instead flooded by so many foreign goods, especially from China. As an expert in this field, Professor, do you think that such free trade agreements have brought more harms than benefits for Indonesia?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Bu Lucia. So this is very interesting questions. If we see that Indonesia has signed many free trade agreements. In another side, example, Indonesia, bilaterally, they have signed with several countries, like with China, with United States, with Korea, South Korea, or other country in a region of the South of Asia. And we see that Indonesia is not involving with the bilateral agreement, but they also signed like with ASEAN in China, like ASEAN-China Free Trade Agreement, ASEAN-Korea, and example.
Yes.
And if we see from this kind of agreement, we have to see the potential benefit for Indonesia. Why? Because this is binding for Indonesia, and we have legal consequence. That's why what we need is that not only sign the agreement, but we have to see and we have to renegotiate of that agreement. We know that Indonesia, as the president of G20 last time, and now become the chairman of the ASEAN. Now Laos, hands over to Laos. And we see that this is proven that Indonesia has to show that from free trade agreement, they can renegotiate all the instruments, so that can benefit not only for Indonesia, but also for another developing country.
So, Professor, are you actually saying that the free trade agreement deals that we have signed previously is more harmful to us at the moment than giving us benefits?
At the moment, but hopefully after renegotiate, and then we can do such kind of legal actions with other country, I think there will be benefit for Indonesia, I think, I'm sure.
In what sectors do you think a renegotiation is actually needed at this point?
Yes, example that we have textile product. As we know, the case of Tanah Abang now versus the TikTok Live.
Yes.
Now we know that because of the massive product from other country, also can influence our imported products from another country. That's why we have to renegotiate of this kind of free trade agreement.
How so? How could we renegotiate? In what ways, if you can elaborate more on this?
This is quite different in what position. Example, Indonesia regionally is a part of ASEAN. So if Indonesia as a part of ASEAN, they can still have to lobby ASEAN first, and then ASEAN can renegotiate with China. Or example, we have AANZ FTA. So after Indonesia part of ASEAN, they can renegotiate it with Australia or even New Zealand. So Indonesia as a part of ASEAN, they have to being united to conclude that this kind of agreement, and then they can submit to another country and then renegotiate of that kind of article that can maybe have a bad potential impact for Indonesia or other developing countries, I think.
Professor, at the moment regarding this whole Tanah Abang versus TikTok Shop Live, many have said that the problem is not on TikTok Shop, but actually it's on our own local producers, local sellers, UMKM, that is not actually competitive enough, that is not updated enough in terms of technology. What's your perspective on that?
Yes, in my perspective, there are several factors that can, impact especially for Tanah Abang. As we know that Tanah Abang is one of the largest producer of textiles in Southeast Asia. And we know that this is potential market for Indonesia, and we can get many things from Tanah Abang. Now, the government have another regulations to ban Tanah Abang, to TikTok Live in order to promote their product and everything. But if we see in deeply that the problem is not only from the TikTok Live. The problem is that how our product can compete with another product.
Exactly.
That's the point. Example, the product from Bangkok. They're famous with the fruits, textiles, and everything. How far can compete with Indonesian product? So they know that maybe they get subsidy from another country, like in Korea, like in Japan, like in China. That's why we have to do something to support this small medium enterprise. Because the key is that how we support the SME itself, the UMKM itself. How to support the UMKM? Example, that another country, they have voluntary export restraint, or we call it VER. The VER, they can, bargain with, example, United States has ever do it with China. Last time they have many imported products from China. US can ask China to voluntarily negotiate that the product imported from China to US, a bit slower. That's why they can do it, United States and China. Indonesia can do it. They can bargain, example, with China or from Thailand, example, or from Vietnam. Example, your imported product can influence our Indonesian product, local product, I mean. So that's why the problem is not only from the TikTok itself, but the problem is that how our government support to protect the SME product. And another thing is that the infrastructure issue, the technology issue. How far our technology can compete with their technology? Because we know that in the country, they are fully supported. The technology is really supported by the government. So they can produce cheaper than our local product. And the third is not only maybe the infrastructure, but incentive. As I said, the subsidy, example. They have lower tax in the country, their home country, the country of origin. How far they can, supply their product cheaper than in their country of origin. That's why, we have to see deeper, not only from a simple perspective, but we have to see in broad case or in wider case.
You mentioned just now that Tanah Abang is a big producer for textile in Jakarta and surrounding area. And of course, the SMEs are complaining, they're screaming because they're saying, no matter how much we are trying to sell our products, how cheap, and although the quality is the same, but if people can still buy all these products from TikTok at such a cheaper price, of course they will still go to TikTok, right? But as you mentioned also before that, such as in countries such as Bangkok, this is not happening. So what have our government is lacking at the moment compared to these other countries? Yes,
of course, as we see in Bangkok, everything's okay, the market is okay, the producers still can produce.
Exactly, and no problem with TikTok. Of course, they use TikTok as well.
You're right.
But
and we, as the consumer, we can still buy cheap price there.
Yes.
And maybe they prefer go there than we go to in our product because it's cheaper. They said that in Indonesia. So the question is that, as I said, that the attention from the government for the SME product is very important. So the intention is that, like in another country, they have incentive, they have subsidy from the government to support this small medium enterprise. We are lucky. We're gladful because we have our new tax law. We have Undang-Undang Harmonisasi Peraturan Pajak. We have the new tax law to support the small medium enterprise. I think this is very good for the government, but it's not enough. We need, another things to support, to support this local product. So the another issue is that inability to adapt with the technology, because we know, example from in Bangka, in Belitung, they have a very good small medium enterprise. But the problem is that the technology, the network, I've ever been there, and then they said that the problem is not only from the product, the problem is that how we connect, how we deal with the internet, how we deal with the product supported by the government. That's the things, because they have many things, small, medium enterprise in Bangka or in Belitung. This is very good.
Yes.
But how this product can compete with another product or goods and services in abroad, this is a very big issue, I think.
Yes. Now, Professor, in broader aspect, there is also this term of, there is a deglobalization trend that is happening in the world as a result of the world economic slowdown. Many countries have already imposed a non-tariff barriers to protect their market. In this case, what position should the government do in facing this trend? Or is this trend actually what's happening at the moment, in your opinion?
Yes. If we see wider, the concept of free trade is that there is non-tariff barriers and there is no tariff barriers. So free flow with goods and services can be done in one country into another country. That's the philosophy of the free
That's
trade
the goal,
itself.
yes, that's the philosophy.
But the problem is that many countries, many unions, they protect their product by themselves, and they produce, some regulations to barrier their product to export to another country. Indonesia can do many things. Example, countervailing duty. That's one of the legal instruments that Indonesia can do. They can, we call it anti-subsidy law, right? To do for the local product or to do for the foreign product that come to Indonesia. They can do countervailing duty. So our product can balance with another product from abroad.
Yes.
I think that we can do. Or extremely we can do such kind of safeguard. I think Brazil or Turkey have ever done like this. They limit all the products in 3 months, so their product cannot come to Indonesia, example. And then they wait until our product can grow and then can compete in Indonesian market, then another product can come to Indonesia. And I think a lot of things that we can do to protect our local product. And another issue is that, like you said, the free trade agreement. We signed many agreements, but luckily we have another issue last time, BRICS. BRICS agreement when
right.
Pak Jokowi went to Africa. But luckily he didn't sign it because they have to review and recheck all the agreements, which one can benefit for Indonesia, which one not benefit for Indonesia. Because there is a Brazil and Russia and China there.
Yes.
And Indonesia is not joining the Trans-Pacific Partnership last time, right? So I think we're, as a non-bloc, non-bloc country, I think this is good for Indonesia.
Okay, well, the priority is, of course, to protect our SMEs, our people first, from all these disadvantages from free trade agreement. Professor Ariawan Gunadi from International Trade UNTAR, thank you so much for sharing your point of view
Thank you so
here
much.
in Economic Outlook.
Thank you very much.